Bow Banger Management Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Woo!
Wow, wow, wow. Woo!
Wow, wow, wow. Oh, you got me.
Every time I do a different one, you always pretend to be Jakey. I know what's going to happen. Welcome into Banger Management, the Fantasy Hockey Podcast with Josh and Kevin. And once again, I'm mentioning him because I have to.
Don't forget him. He's real.
Contractually obligated to mention him. He's our third co-host, Jake. Jake is still in Japan, but is, currently flying back probably as we speak. So that's pretty fun that you guys listen. If you were part of the Bang Gang past 2 weeks ago, you remember Jakey. He was a lovable
funny.
part of the trio.
We actually have some fans who have no idea who Jakey is.
Yeah,
they've only started listening in the last 2 weeks, and they're like, "Who is this guy?" They keep mentioning at the start of every episode.
Well, listen, if you're in the last 2 weeks and you've only ever known just Josh and I, we do have a third co-host. Josh and I are the best co-hosts, so JQ was
actually
able
in the
to take
Discord.
a vacation.
I was told I'm the fourth best. So
no. He said all he said was JK is definitely one of the top two. So he left it ambiguous for which one of us is in the top two.
Yeah,
so.
but then I said I don't want to know where I rank in this, and he said fourth. So
somebody's third. We got to find out who that is.
Yeah.
But today we're covering our Week 13 Buy Low, Sell High episode. Listen. This is the episode that everybody's looking forward to every week because who does not want to talk about trades?
That's all I want to talk about ever.
It's all I want to talk about.
I spoke to a guy in our league about trades for, I think, 4 days straight, nonstop messaging. We didn't even end up coming to an agreement on anything. At the end of it, I was like, "This was great. Thanks for spending time talking about this with me." And he's like, "Honestly, this was fun. Let's do it again."
That means you're gonna pull off a trade later in the season. That's all of that means. When you have a good trade talk like that with somebody, it's just like you guys are itching for something to happen.
Absolutely.
And this was over the holiday break, so listen, you guys ruined Christmas for your families by talking trades.
I already did that by making my annual trade with Jakey. So
it's actually nuts. Listen, this is a buy low sell high episode, so we have to talk about this. But Josh is talking with this other guy about trades for 4 days, and then randomly, I'm with my family, I'm not looking at my phone at all, I'm off the grid a little bit, and I just pull up my phone to see Jakey text me I think I'm gonna do this trade, and Josh, I see a text from 2 hours ago where Josh is just oh, I'm gonna Jakey's sending me something or whatever, and the next thing you know, a deal is done, and I'm just like, what just happened? Jakey's not even in the same, not even close to the same time zone as us right now. He's in Japan, and the man just made a trade. But how about you tell us how the trade went down, Josh, and what the trade is?
Okay, I'll. So the trade was, well, first of all, how it went down was that I was just asking, I'm always we've all got our own opinions, but I also trust my co-host's opinion. So I was in trade talks with this other guy, and so I'm asking the boys, what do you think about this or that, whatever. And out of nowhere, Jakey's just oh, if you're thinking trades, what about this? And I'm looking at it, I'm wait a second, I actually would do that, Yeah. And so then I start texting Jakey, and I'm obviously you try and get as much value as you can out of the trade. I'm would you do this? Would you do that? We go back and forth for a bit, but we kind of just end up landing back on the original one that he sent me and I was like, you know what? I think that's actually a pretty reasonable one. So then we did it. The trade was I sent away Matthews and Zetterlund, and he gives me Celebrini and Holloway. And it's normally I don't like being on the I'm fully aware I sold low on Matthews and I bought high on Celebrini. So I normally don't like to be the buy high guy and sell low guy. In my mind, I just think that if Matthews bumps up 0.3 points and Celebrini bumps down 0.3 points, then Celebrini's still higher than Matthews. So I feel the difference was so high that even if they both go closer to their, where you'd expect them, it's still a win. But Holloway's injured for the next month. Jakey was interested in Zetterlund. He agreed. He said, I prefer Celebrini to Matthews, but I want Zetterlund. And I was like, I'm fine with that. So that's kind of how it...
Josh had picked up Zetterlund for $1 off waivers 3 days prior to this trade. Just putting that out there. But I
get Holloway on my team, the most important part of the trade. I made him my signature pick. A lot of people grabbed him, and then he's been underwhelming this year. And I was like, you know what? I got to get in with the guys who believed in me, because I still believe. I'm still a believer. His bangs have been unreal. The points will come. Holloway all the way, baby.
I was going to say, maybe Holloway just needed a change of scenery, and by that, he just needed to be traded to Josh's fantasy team so he can do what he did last year while he was on Josh's fantasy team.
Absolutely.
So for all you Holloway owners...
I'm thinking St. Louis, every time they've been successful the last couple of years, it happens after winter break. I'm thinking he's coming off, he's going to be out a bit for injury, right? So maybe it'll be like a mental reset.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Thomas has started being hot. Jordan Kyrie's probably on his way out, so maybe that opens some spot in deployment for Holloway. I don't know. There's a lot of moving pieces. All I know is Holloway can't be worse than he's been, and the bangers have been unreal. So even if I get him and he's just a shots hits guy, I'm pretty happy with that.
And the thing with Holloway too is like we've talked about how bad he's been, but you also have to compare him. Like you got him in this trade for Fabian Zetterlund, who I think has been hot for like 9 days, and like his bangers. He's been a double double. Like he's been pretty good. He has a high shot volume, but he's never cracking that power play one. So that's not even in the range of outcomes for him. And now he's in the top 6, but he's one line deployment change away from being back on waivers. So. Listen, I'm not gonna say this is my favorite trade that Jakey's ever made. He still acquired Austin Matthews, so
He still got the best player in the trade, like technically, like Matthews was drafted 4th overall.
I know Celebrini was a 2nd-round pick, but if we're doing a draft today,
I think 3rd round.
It was like Jakey had the 103 or something, so he was at like the 2-3 turn, let's say.
Yeah.
But if we're doing a redraft today, I think Celebrini gets drafted before Matthews. Celebrini has been averaging 1.5 points per game on the season. Like it's week 13 right now, guys. It's like
I'm pretty excited.
The sample size is there.
I will say I'm more used to being like worried after pulling off a trade because I usually do the buy low portion, you know, and usually right after a trade, if you're feeling not great about it, it's usually like that's what happens when you do the buy low and sell high, right? But usually over time, it ends up being a win for you. If you're feeling great about a trade right after it happened, there's a chance you just got sold high on and sold low on and bought high. So we'll see how it shakes out. Matthews in the past has been elite for our league, especially because he's like blocks, face-off wins, shots in addition to the points. But at least I don't have to worry about the headache anymore.
I was going to say, it's just like Toronto right now is a messy situation that it's just hard to want to have pieces of that. But if you could acquire them on the low, it's great. Jakey did not acquire them on the low. He paid top dollar for him. So that's the crux of the thing here. But listen, that's certain in a league like this where you're playing with other guys that know what they're doing, you're not going to be able to buy low on everybody that's a buy low because guys are aware of the situation and they're not always pressed to get them off their roster, right? Like we're all playing for the playoffs at the end of the day. So unless you're really worried about missing the playoffs, like I will hold my Jesper Bratt throughout this stretch. I'm not trying to get him off my roster, So you gotta pay what you gotta pay sometimes, and you just gotta have a conviction in your take. And maybe you're not extracting the most value, but you're still making your team better at the end of the day. And hopefully that's what Jakey did, and hopefully that's not what you did. But Josh's team has too many 1st-round picks for me to root for his team right now. But
I know that I am enemy number 1 to Kevin. He probably has like a picture of me with like a dart.
Not only did he have McDry on his team, McDavid and Draisaitl on his one team, but he also had Austin Matthews, which is now Celebrini, and also still has David Pastrnak. So it's just kind of like too many riches for one person, in my opinion. But listen,
give me more.
Yeah. Well, maybe you'll be able to acquire more after we go through this buy low, sell high episode.
Yeah, exactly. Let's dive in because I think
enough lollygagging. But I think the people want to hear about the league and record trades, especially between two banger management co-hosts.
I think it's pretty fun to talk about. So hopefully the viewers enjoy that.
When Jakey's back, we'll have to ask him his take on how he feels. I feel like he had instant regret after hearing. He like texted me after the trade. He was like, "What do you think?" And I gave him my honest opinion, which I just shared on the podcast, where I think he gave up a lot of value and took on a lot of risk. And he just lost like Hagel to injury. He just lost Jarvis to injury.
But that's also why, right? He has like 5 injured guys. He wanted Holloway off his team because Holloway's out for the next month, and he's like the worst of his injured guys.
Yeah.
So
I get it, but I think he could have got better than Zetterlund.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, look, I'd prefer Holloway to Zetterlund, but he wanted Zetterlund for Holloway, and I was like, sure, I'll take that.
Yeah, I guess I'd take that too.
Yeah. All right, let's go to our 2 weeks ago update. So 2 weeks ago, we recommended William Nylander, as a buy low. Since then, 6 games, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points, back to point per game. When we recommended him, he was putting up straight zeros for almost 5 straight games. He was playing awful. I will say we got helped out a bit because he put up a 4-point game recently that kind of made, so it's not like the turnaround was immediate. He's still a buy low. It's tough after that 4-point game though, so the window might have closed, but he still hasn't been that great. So I think you still have the opportunity to buy him low, maybe not as low as 2 weeks ago. Then we had Josh Morrissey. Since then, 5 games played, 0 goals, 3 assists, 3 points. still hasn't made the full turnaround. But again, also like to preface this, it's been the holiday break, right? So there's
Yeah.
not as much like we say this is a 2 weeks ago update, but it really kind of feels like a 1 week ago update
Hmm.
because one of the weeks there haven't been any games really.
Yep.
So a lot of these are, they usually take about 2 weeks to turn into a win and turn into what you're looking for. So Morrissey's still a buy low. I don't think like it might sound like a cop out when it doesn't immediately turn around and we're like still a buy low. It wasn't a wrong choice, but that's just how it is. It's not always an immediate turnaround. So we'll tell you if we ever think that it's an actual like okay, we were wrong about this one. Like I don't think it would happen because we're pretty good at this, but what we hold ourselves accountable. Don't worry about it. And lastly, we had John Tavares. He played 6 games, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. Again, this whole Leafs team is still very much by lows. They just fired the power play coach. I see Berube going soon, even though they said before the holidays Berube's and Treliving's jobs are not in jeopardy. But a lot of times, them saying that
Right now.
means that they are in jeopardy. Yeah, exactly. So I think there's some stuff going to go on with Toronto. A lot of their guys are going to get back to closer to what their averages are. They may not be as good as they were last year, but they're not going to be as bad as they've been.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still trying to buy low on these Toronto guys, but like Jakey just bought low on Matthews. I put in quotation marks where he did pay pretty penny, but that's also league dependent. Like in a lot of leagues, you're able to get Matthews for a lot cheaper than that. And I'm still trying to acquire these Toronto assets on my team for the correct price. Like I'm not trying
Yeah.
to send the haul for these guys because they're buy lows and they're going to be better.
I
I
mean,
want
like a
them.
week ago, Kevin and I were discussing a possible Austin Matthews plus for Brady, and I think
Yeah,
it could have got done. But then, I waited a week. Matthews did nothing, and Brady had an insane week. And Kevin
yeah.
was like, "Actually, let's not do
I
that."
mean, I was already not interested
No, that's
before
not true. You were down for like if like the plus was like someone like
that I
relatively
was
good,
not going to
like
cut. I was interested for sure.
that's it. Yeah,
I mean, you have
like
to
I
always
think
be
like
interested in acquiring a top pick, but
yeah.
I'm also like, I think at the end of the day, you know that like in our league specifically with all the categories that we have plus
Yeah.
Pims, like Brady is just a unicorn.
Oh no, he's sick.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, I mean that was there. I think I'm actually happier with how it worked out because
yeah,
I
you're
got
giving
the
up less
plus
value.
in yeah, exactly. So we'll see. But anyways, just to show that Kevin is interested in buying low on these Toronto
Yes,
guys. He's not just saying it. So
I'm not
then
making
we
it
had
up,
our
guys.
sell
It's real.
highs. Yeah, exactly. And we had our sell highs from 2 weeks ago. Carter Verhaeghe. Since then, 6 games played, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. You're looking at that. You're like 5 and 6. That's not bad. When we recommended him, he was at like 1.3 points per game. We said the big drop off is going to come when Kachuk comes back and he gets bumped off power play one.
Yep.
So I'm still. We said I went pretty hard on this one. I think 2 weeks ago I said by New Year's I don't want anyone in our Discord having Carter Verhaeghe. So I still stand by that. I don't want him on my team.
Yep.
So hopefully you guys can pull some stuff off there. Then we had Nazem Kadri, 5 games played, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points since then. He was on fire as well. So 3 points in 5 games is way below what he was doing. I really hope that people sold. I don't think it's too late to sell either on either of these guys. Like I think you could still like they haven't
You
completely
still
dropped
should.
off yet, but and you still should exactly because it's gonna keep going down. And then we have Darren Radish. Since then, 5 games played, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. You're like he's still a point per game. He's still the goat. Look, when we talked about him, we said that he wasn't going to lose all his value. He was still going to be someone we're happy to have on our team, but this is still super unsustainable. The only guys who get a point per game as a defenseman are like Makar, Quinn Hughes, Bouchard, Wierenski. Like, even Dahlin doesn't get a point per game. He got 0.93 last year. Like, Darren Radish is not going to be a top 5 defenseman in the league. I'm sorry. I know you don't want to hear it as a Radish holder, and we love Radish on the pod, but this is still a big sell high, and the window's not closed yet.
Yeah, I mean, listen, all these guys that we mentioned are sell highs, still sell highs. And I think you still have the opportunity to sell a high on all of them. Like, they haven't slowed down that much. And all the guys that we've listed as buy lows, I think are still buy lows. So,
Yeah.
listen, it's just one of those weeks that, the results are taking a little longer
I think it's the
to
holidays. Like it's that's a big part of it. Just hasn't
for
have as
sure.
much sample size.
And even then, like 2 weeks, yeah, like we're really happy when it happens in 2 weeks, but sometimes it takes 3 or 4 weeks, and that's also normal. Like we
Absolutely.
we mentioned yes for Brad as a buy low, we mentioned Braden Point as a buy low throughout the whole season, and I feel like it's only now that he's starting to finally bounce back. And Brad now with New Jersey getting healthy, I think he's on the up and up as well. So sometimes you just gotta be patient, but you always gotta trust the process. And we're gonna be honest with you guys when we were right or when we were wrong. And I think throughout the whole season, like I feel very confident that we were pretty much right on like all the things. It feels like
I think that I mean look, not to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
toot our own horns, but I think we're good at all the different episodes we do. But like, you look at like our like waiver episode, we're like 21-9 now, I think,
Yeah.
which is really good. Like 75% is sick for
Yeah.
waivers, But like, I'm much more confident in our buy low, sell highs.
Yep.
Like, I feel like these like there's it just waivers is a lot more random because we're really diving deep at like bottom of the barrel guys who can
Mhm.
any given week give us something, not give us something. Buy low, sell highs is more. There's a lot more
There's a lot more.
stats and data
Yeah.
to that you can use to kind of back up your choices.
And I
So
think you have to remember too that like we play fantasy hockey on a weekly basis, but like the actual NHL players are not like, all right, it's Monday, like I
yeah,
just played on Sunday
exactly.
or I just played on Saturday, but like Monday is like new week, fresh week. Like they're going through it. Everything is like one big blur for them. It's just like
Yeah.
the next game, you know what I mean? So for us it's just like, okay, we're limiting ourselves between like a specific
Yes, that's a
like
good point.
window of days. But for them it's just like they're not like, all right, Monday now I can start playing good again and this week I'm gonna be
Yeah,
better, you know what I mean? So
exactly. It's easier to be wrong when your sample size is one exact week, as
yeah.
opposed to like if we're recommending rest of season, we're much
Yeah,
more
yeah, yeah.
confident in that because even the best players can have a bad week. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right, all that was a lot of preface and a lot of background and a lot of talking about our league.
A
So
lot of
let's dive
trades.
into what the people want, which is our buy lows for this week. I will get us started.
Mm-hmm.
My buy low for this week is the Great Eight, the best goal scorer in the NHL. Alex Ovechkin. In the last month, he's at 0.69 power play points per game, 0.31 power play points, 3 shots, 1.1 hits. On the last 2 weeks, he's at 0.17 points per game, 0.17 power play points, 2.2 shots, 1.7 hits. Last 2 weeks is obviously a bit skewed with the holidays,
Mm-hmm.
missing a lot of time. Sometimes you can use that to your advantage. Sometimes you can just be like show that to your the person you're looking to trade with. Look at these averages; they're so bad, and they won't realize that there's only been like 3 games. So if he has like 3 bad games, then it makes it look bad. Anyways, obviously those are pretty awful for past 2 weeks. Since December 3rd, he only has 1 power play point, and he has 0 points in his last 5 games. Washington has lost 6 of their last 7 games, and this is like a top team in the league. Here's a quote from Elliot Friedman. We're allowed to quote other podcasts, I think. So here's a quote from his pod. He said, "Washington, as good a pick to win the East as anyone, made things clear this week. They are going to grab the best offensive player they can. They feel that every goal is work for them." This is a massive statement, right? This is saying that this is a team
Can't buy
who's
a goal.
one of the best. That's it. This is one of the teams who should be one of the top ones in the East right now, and they're struggling super hard, and they feel the offense is the reason they're struggling, which is true. Logan Thompson's been unreal. The defense has been
Mm-hmm.
unreal. That's not an issue, but they just can't seem to score, and they're gonna do something about it. They're saying we're gonna go out and do something about it, and this isn't one of those cases where they bring in some hot, some guy who's like a really good
Like a Mason
scorer, and
Marchment.
that'll yeah, no, I mean, this isn't like one of those situations where you're worried the guy I'm recommending is going to get bumped down because of whoever they
Oh
bring
yeah,
in.
yeah.
No, this is whoever they bring in is just going to boost Ovechkin, right? So this is I'm pretty excited about who they can get and how this can help Ovechkin. It'll bump their offense and their power play, and Ovi should benefit a lot from it. The team hasn't given him a single D zone draw this year. They clearly just want to promote his offense, which is great for fantasy. Look, in terms of being an all-around player and an asset to a real NHL team, if you're not taking any D-zone draws, I think you're a bit of a liability
Mm-hmm.
in terms of all-aroundness. But for fantasy, all we care about is offense, right? For the most part. So this is great for Ovi. If you can get him for cheap, he should bounce back pretty hard for you. So here are some targets. I'm curious to see. I don't know if I went too low on these or if you think these are actually attainable. So I've got Steven Stamkos, Sam Bennett, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Carter Verhaeghe.
I just want to say I said Mason Marchment because I thought you were talking about who they were gonna bring in.
Yeah.
But I was like, they said they're gonna bring in like top level
Top
guy that they
offensive talent.
can,
Yeah.
and I'm saying that guy is probably going to be better than like a Mason Marchment, who is like
Yes,
a good middle
exactly.
six type of player. But
Yeah.
he's not gonna be game breaking for your team. If you need scoring and you want to fix that problem, you're not being like, all right, let's bring in Mason Marchment into
That's
the
it.
mix. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Who's a great player in himself. It's just like he's not like an elite level. I'm not saying they're gonna bring in
Yeah.
elite level, but you know what I mean.
They're going to try.
They're gonna try, exactly. So I wonder who's on the market that they can go for right now. I feel like all these top guys
Nazem
have gotten
Kadri?
signed. Nazem Kadri could be good, and they do need center because Dylan Strome. Listen,
it.
we recommended him as a buy low. Still think he bounces back, but if they sign Nazem Kadri, that obviously changes the situation a little bit. As of your targets, I think they're all very feasible. I think Bennett, Nuge, Verhaeghe are all very feasible. I think Stamkos is the
Stamkos
hardest
probably
one.
the biggest stretch. Yeah.
But like, listen, in a package, like if you're doing like a 2-for-2 where you're like giving maybe Stamkos and Bennett for OV and like a very small piece, like I think that's feasible because Stamkos' production right now has been really good. We'll talk about that more in depth later.
Yeah.
But I feel Nashville as a whole has been on fire, and if you can capitalize on this recent production, because we do not think it's sustainable, and you get a guy like Ovi who we know is going to be very productive rest of the season, I'm doing that any day of the week. And I didn't even realize, honestly, like when we always do our deep dive throughout the whole league to notice who's good and who's not good and who's a buy low candidate and who's a sell high candidate. I didn't realize Ovi was doing this bad
Yeah.
over the last
This
month.
one like jumped out at me like because as much on the ball as we are about like everything,
Yeah, yeah,
it's really this weekly scouring the league for who's performing way worse than usual. And we try to stick with like the top names because
yeah.
that's the most value you can get. And this one jumped out at me. I was like, wow, okay, that's a good opportunity.
We do a lot of filtering. Like we're not gonna recommend guys that we're not gonna recommend the same guys we recommended last week, right? And like we're recommending new players every week that we genuinely believe there's an opportunity to buy low that are going to be better than they are or sell high. So we want to give you guys like new names so you always have new content and new targets that you can reach out to. But Ovechkin, I think he's one of those guys that I feel like come fantasy playoffs, like you might be really happy he's on your team when he's near the end of the season and he's scoring goals, trying to up that record tally. But I love this pick.
Nice. All right, Kevin, who do you got for us?
All right, this is a guy that I feel like we've talked about a lot in terms of like targeting him for trades, and when we're doing our sell highs, being like, if you can sell him for this guy, you should do it. But we actually never mentioned him as a buy low, so I feel like it might be a tricky one. But I'm going to talk about Jack Hughes of the New Jersey Devils. Now, this might feel a little weird for you because he was out for over a month, and he just came back, and only now we're mentioning him as a buy low. But I think I just want to highlight Jack Hughes because I truly believe the opportunity is still there to buy low. He's been back for 2 games thus far. He scored 1 goal in his return, and Jack Hughes is a guy that averages 4 shots a game. It's just like 3.7 or in that range, which is truly elite. He's one of the best shooters in the entire league. He's played 2 games. He doesn't even have 4 shots yet combined in the 2 games. Listen, it's 2 games, but that's why I'm saying he was out for so long. He came back. He didn't start off super hot. The other New Jersey assets are also not, I would say, playing to their level right now. So I think there's still a crack in the window right now where you can acquire Jack Hughes. And if you look at his stats when he's healthy, he's a 1.1 feels like his floor in terms of like points per game. He could be a
Hmm.
1.3, he can be a 1.4 type of player. It's just about being healthy and on the ice. 1.1 points per game, zero point 0.4 power play points feels like the floor as well. Hovering on 4 shots a game. He's center left wing, so he'll get you those face-off wins from the left wing position, which is always valuable. He's not the best face-off winner. That's not his main thing, but it's always a nice bonus. He's not going to get you hits or blocks, but that's not what you want him for. He's a truly elite fantasy center left winger, let's say. And I think right now you can still acquire him for less than his full value. And when a guy like this is available for less than their full value, you have to try to acquire them, especially if you have some of these sell highs that we've mentioned in the past. I don't want to go through all the metrics of like why he's a buy low or whatnot. Like we know Jack Hughes is a quality player. Like at some point, don't beat yourself up trying to predict everything like that. But I think a player like this and what you expect them to do, it's just like clear night and day. And I think right now you still have a brief window before they start clicking, guys. Like it might be just 1 week window where you're able to acquire Jack Hughes for your fantasy playoffs, not only, but for the rest of the season where he's going to be an exceptional player. If you can trade guys like Jason Robertson, who we've mentioned as a sell high recently, Tim Stutzel, I think, is a fantastic asset to use to go to the Jack Hughes level. Tim Stutzel has been insane, and I love Ottawa. I got Brady, I got Batherson, I got Cousins, I had Sanderson on my team. Like I drafted 4 of them. Um, but if you can swap Tim Stutzel for Jack Hughes, I'm doing that in a heartbeat. Matt Boldy, I just highlighted him as a sell high in my recent episode as well. My recent episode, our last episode, he was averaging 1.7 points per game over the last 2 weeks, 1.3 over the last month. Like that's basically what you want Jack Hughes to be. But Matt Boldy is not as good as Jack Hughes. I'm sorry. And Sam Reinhart, I think, is a guy that I have on my own roster. That he's been on fire as well for Florida. Matthew Tkachuk is on the way back. Like he might get even better if you're able to make a Sam Reinhart for Jack Hughes swap. I think you're going to be so happy with that. Listen, it's not a cheap asset you're trying to acquire either. Like you have to give somebody of quality, but all these guys that you're giving are not going to be as good as Jack Hughes.
Yeah. So I love this one. I think I've got a couple of questions for you, but I fully agree. So
Yep, lay it on me.
firstly, I know this is what everyone is going to ask, or everyone thinks when we talk about Jack Hughes. How worried are you about the injury history moving forward?
Listen, it's definitely a high risk when you have dinner every night and you're always surrounded by knives. But
Yeah,
I feel confident that he won't cut his finger at dinner again. As for the rest, you can't predict injury. We can be saying like trade for this guy, he's the least injury prone guy, and then he gets hurt, and then we look like dum dums.
yeah.
Vincent Trocheck, who I drafted with
I
my
know you were
second
going to
round
say
pick or third
that.
round pick, he's elite for our bangers league with face offs, shorties, and everything. Like he's an elite player. Has not missed a game in like it was 4 years before that, and then he missed 8 weeks to start the year. Like you just can't. You can try to draft for it. You can try to predict it. You can try to avoid guys. At the end of the day, you don't really know. So I'm not factoring in
Yeah,
the injury history like that.
I agree, and yeah. So that's just I know a question that everyone asks when Jack Hughes is involved. So I
Yeah,
think that's good to
fair
mention.
enough.
In terms of your targets, so first one to me that's a slam dunk is Tim Stützle. That one I
Yeah,
would absolutely take Jack Hughes. I think it could get done for sure,
he's been so
and I
nuts.
love that. Then looking at the other three, so I think that with the other three you can get Jack Hughes plus. I don't know if that's crazy to
Really,
say.
I think that's I think that's
I mean it
crazy
would
to
be a
say.
small plus, but like just with what these guys have been doing. So like Boldy, I'm taking Hughes over Boldy. A lot of it also helps with the playoff schedule being a lot better. Um, but I definitely think with what Boldy's been doing, that you can get Jack Hughes plus. But maybe that's just me.
Hmm.
Well, you have to see what the person
Jack
says.
Hughes
But I
still has a
think
lot of name
like
pull though. Don't forget.
for sure. But I think like there is that injury like cloud around him. There's the fact his 2 games back haven't been the most insane.
Hmm.
He hasn't been shooting that much. Hasn't won any faceoffs, whatever. And Boldy's just been insane. So you just don't want to do kind of like what you were saying with the Jakey's trade with me, right?
Yeah.
Where you pay full value for a buy low.
Hmm.
So I just think you want to extract as much value as
Yeah,
possible
you
when
want to try
when
to
the
send
stakes
the
are this
worst guy
high.
possible if you're talking.
Yeah. So no, I think I still would take this. Like if it was a 1-for-1, I'm still taking Hughes. I just think you could probably get a bit of a plus there.
Hmm.
Reinhardt, yeah, I would take Hughes. Again, I think there's a chance you can get a plus with how hot Reinhardt has been. You also sell the person on the fact that Kachuk's coming back. It could only be better for Reinhardt. Who knows if that's true? I don't know if it really, like he's been at such a high level. I don't think he's going to get some massive boost with
I think it
Kachuk coming
raises his
back.
floor.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. It raises floor, but he's already been performing close to his ceiling, I feel like. So, but you can use that in negotiations. So I think you can get Hughes plus for Reinhardt. And then Robertson too. Like the Robertson one is like in my like mind, I'm like obviously Jack Hughes. But then you look at it and like Robertson, I see him getting like 1.1 points per game. I see him getting like zero point 0.4 power play points. I see him getting 3.5 shots. They have the same playoff schedule. He has less of a injury risk. So why Hughes over Robertson? I guess the reason is that you were saying all those numbers were Hughes's floor, whereas
Yeah.
that's like Robertson's more his ceiling.
Yeah.
But again, I think you might be able to get Hughes plus. Look, I could be way off on this, like with my evaluations. It also depends on the Hughes owner and how they feel and all that. But it's all about making the most of the value. I still like the trade and I like the targets. Just
Who's the worst player you think you could send for Jack Hughes? Like if you're looking at
the
1-for-1
worst
right
player.
now.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can
Um.
give you other names because to me I think
Yeah.
people are not downgrading Jack Hughes that much. Like I
No.
don't
No.
think
Like
he's at. I
it's
think right now he's at
yeah.
like maybe 85% of his value. Let's say, and
Absolutely.
even that is a
Absolutely.
big enough gap that I want to try to
Yeah.
acquire him.
No, I like that you're putting realistic targets. I'm a bit wary of like, is it, like
Would you do
are those
Celebrini for
too
Jack
good?
Hughes?
I think I'd rather Celebrini at this point.
Okay,
Maybe I'm biased because I just traded for him, but I don't know what you think about that. But
I would rather have Jack Hughes. We just talked about this on
okay.
the episode.
Yeah. Okay, fair.
Do you think you could trade? Do you think you could trade like a Nick Suzuki for Jack Hughes?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, you think that's feasible?
I think I think it could get
My
done. I
favorite
mean,
name is
also
Tim
like
Stützle. I think right now
that's my favorite one.
he's
That's
also
the
like a
slam
mini
dunk
sell
to
high
me.
in himself.
I think he's a big sell high. Like I think look, I
I
think
still think he's an
he
exceptional
was like
player, but
yeah, he was a buy low. He popped off right after we recommended him as a buy low, so patting ourselves on the back for that. But of these names, he's the one that I like the least, if that makes sense. I mean, I
mhm,
still would want all of them on my team, and to me, that's a no-brainer, Jack Hughes. Whereas the other ones, I'm like, I know the answer is Jack Hughes, but I'm still a bit scared about
mhm.
it. Whereas this with Stutzel, I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Would
So,
do you think you could do this is a funny one. Not
okay,
funny, but fun. Natchez for Jack Hughes?
I think I would absolutely do that,
Yeah.
and I think that's doable.
Natchez over the last
Natchez has
month
been
is at
bumped
like
down to like line
1.3.
three.
I know the fluctuations are crazy. But
I
he's
would
still at
definitely take
1.3
Jack
points per
Hughes.
game over the last month.
I love Natchez, but I'm definitely taking Jack Hughes over him.
Okay. See, these are names that if these guys are on your roster right now and you can swap them for Jack Hughes in a 1-for-1, that's crazy. I feel like 1-for-1 trades are rare in the real world.
Yeah.
So if you can make it a 2-for-2 and maybe you get some better value on a 2-for-2 as well, I think it's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah. But honestly, the more I think about it, I think you're right with these targets. Like, it's just the reason that, like, I'm wary is because it's so close, but I do think Hughes has has a higher ceiling than all these guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have Reinhardt. Are you sending that offer?
Yes.
Did you send that offer?
Yeah. I have it.
Is it pending?
I have it pending. Yeah.
Not 1-for-1.
No, not 1-for-1. My offer is I'm sending Sam Reinhart and Drake Batherson for Hughes and Nylander.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, it's a good offer. If you
both
pull
of my
that off,
guys
that's
are
a huge win.
way better than both of those guys.
Both of you guys are a
right
huge
now.
sell. I mean, yeah, both of you guys are pretty big sell highs, especially Batherson, and
Batherson's
both
a
his
sell
guys are
high for
huge
sure.
sell lows, so buy lows. So
Yeah.
that would be crazy.
Yeah,
How
that would
long
be
has it been
crazy if I can
pending?
pull that off, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think.
No, but what if he like just doesn't take it or counted whatever? Would you send just the 1-for-1?
I mean, my next offer is like for 1-for-1. I'm doing a slam dunk for sure.
I think if you send that 1-for-1, he takes it.
You think so?
Yeah, I think adding the Batherson Nylander makes it so he's not going to accept it. But I think if you do the 1-for-1, I think there's a very high chance he takes
I mean, listen, if he declines, I'll send that as a counter. My next thought was gonna be if I should include Josh Norris and make it a 3-for-2.
Okay,
But I think that
like
might be
that.
I think that might be a lot.
No, I
because
would still take the 2.
I mean, I think I'm losing a lot of power play points there.
Yeah, I mean, it really
And
depends how
that's
much you believe in the Nylander, like Toronto power play turning things around.
I think he'll be better than he is, but I don't know if the power play is going to be like a 0.4, which I know for Batherson it's going to be. I know for Reinhardt it's pretty
That's
close, and I know Jack
Yeah.
Hughes is in that realm too. But if
Yeah.
I'm adding another like power play guy like Josh Norris, who I think could easily get 0.3, it's
Like, I get what
on
you're
our
saying.
waivers, guys. There's like nobody on power play 1. I just
Yeah,
picked up the best power play guy available, and it was Oliver Bjorkstrand, who
Yeah.
sucks. So
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. And like, in terms of that specific cat, I get the worry. In my mind, though, if you're happy with the 2-for-2, which I absolutely would be,
Mhm.
then I think throwing in Josh Norris as an add-on to get the deal done is a no-brainer if you have
Yeah.
to do that.
we'll see.
Anyways,
Well,
we'll
if
see
it
what
comes to that,
happens.
but that's a
Yeah,
fun trade
exactly.
that I'm trying to cook. That is just
Yeah,
in
I
my
like
mind,
it.
and the other person probably does not care at all.
I've been trying to get Jack Hughes for like months, like ever since the injury. I was like, I'll hold
Who
him
are
on
you
IR
trading?
for weeks.
Matthews?
I mean,
It was Matthews.
that was involved at one point. I sent a lot of different offers, and I
McDavid
sent
plus
both,
Jack Hughes and his 2 other best players.
Well, I mean, look, I'm taking McDavid.
Yeah, I mean,
but I mean, no, like I've sent both directions. I've sent like I give you multiple less good guys for your Jack Hughes, or I give you a better guy for Jack Hughes plus other good guys, and he hasn't been interested in any. But we'll see what happens. We'll
Yeah,
see with
you
yours.
never know.
Not that I'm sending anything, but I'm be curious to see.
Yeah, don't
Can't
steal
say
my
that I
trade,
want
man.
it to work out for you though, but because we're a competition, obviously. But yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, let's go to our bonus choice for our buy low this week. Again, since Jakey, who is very real and exists, is not
He
back
does.
yet, we still want to give as much content as possible for our fans, and so we are doing a bonus choice. So for the bonus choice buy low this week, we've got someone who's been a buy low earlier this season. He's been a sell high earlier this season. Now he's back to being a buy low this season, and that is Jake Sanderson of the Ottawa Senators. I feel like Jake Sanderson has been in conversations as both a buy low and a sell high consistently on our show and in general, which maybe shows the lack of overall consistency. His last 2 weeks have been subpar, averaging only 0.33 points per game and no power play points, while the power play has actually been very good. His shots are down, his blocks are down. He hasn't hit a super high ceiling yet this year, which I did personally expect from him this season. I thought he should be able to take a jump and hover around a top 5 fantasy D. Although he hasn't done that yet, I still love him rest of the season and would be trying to acquire him. His season-long data is very solid, and I believe Ottawa is in a good place, working up to cementing their playoff position. He's due for some power play production with how well it's been clicking, and out of all the top fantasy D, he is one of the more acquirable ones right now. We already touched on Quinn Hughes and Morrissey, who I still love as targets. Sanderson is the next guy that I think is a buy low of top level. And good 1-for-1 targets, we've got Lane Hudson, Jackson Lacombe, Eric Carlson, Rasmus Anderson.
Yep.
Listen, yeah.
I agree with everything you said.
I was pretty tired last night, and Kevin wrote this bonus one for me, so I was just reading it for him. But those are his words, so I feel like I need to react to like the words that I
you
just
do. Okay,
just read.
react to the words that you just said.
Yeah, okay. I mean, first of all, fully agree. I love Sanderson as a buy low. Like I said, he's been a buy low earlier this season. Then he went super hot, sell high. Now he's back to buy low. So the consistency is not the best, but overall, when it flattens out, you're going to be very happy with the production you're getting. Let's look at the targets you said, or I said, but you wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would take Sanderson easily over any of these guys. I think the most doable one is probably Eric Carlson. I think he's been on fire.
I think
I think you
Hudson.
can pull that off. Actually, Hudson has been on fire and has more
Yep.
name value than Carlson. So you're right. I would go Hudson, Carlson, Lacombe, Anderson. I think is the
Yep.
likeliness of it getting done. I would take Sanderson over all of them. I've got a question for you because
Mm-hmm.
I would be interested in acquiring Sanderson.
Yeah.
Do you think I could pull off a Seth Jones for Sanderson, or do you think that's too low?
I think Seth Jones has like glimpses of games that really hold a lot of value that influences averages. But like on a consistent level, if you open his game log, like which games are you happy with him? You're not happy with most of them. But when he does have a good game, it's a great game.
Yeah,
But you're never trying to do a 1-for-1 either, right? So if you do a 2-for-2 and Sanderson for Seth Jones is like the defenseman portion of it, I think that can actually like I think there's some weight to that.
like you could get my foot in the door, but I'd have to add another little upgrade somewhere else to make
Exactly.
it happen. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
fair.
So I think Sanderson
But yeah,
is
no,
better, and I think he doesn't have the name value of like the Quinn Hughes, the McCarr, the Werenski, which he shouldn't have right now. But I think like he's gonna be the next guy up that's like could teeter around that top level. Like would I be shocked if he's better than Bouchard rest of the season? No.
I'd be shocked with how McDavid and Drysdale been playing.
Okay,
I would be
fair,
shocked.
fair. I'd be shocked just because of like McDavid's averaging like 3 points
That's
per
it.
game.
Yeah.
But in general, in a
But no, I love
normal
Sanderson.
world,
Yeah.
like I think he's close to that. I think he can reach
Yeah.
like a 0.9 points per game with 0.4 power play points, and he's getting you like 2.5 shots and 2 blocks. Like I think that's very realistic for Jake Sanderson. And let's not forget how good of a prospect he was as well. Like if Jakey was here, he'd list off all the AHL numbers and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But we've been waiting for the Jake Sanderson like come up for a while now, it feels like. And this is the first year that I think he can actually take a step up into like entering. He's going to be into the conversation of just like, it sucks that he's in the McCarr era because if he wasn't, he might win a Norris Trophy type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he'll definitely get votes over the course of his career, and we'll see if he ever hits that really high level
Yeah.
of winning it. We'll see. I think Ottawa's going to get better. But yeah, no,
Yep.
love this pick that you made, and I read out loud for us.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to our sell highs. My sell high for this week is Steven Stamkos of the Nashville Predators. Last month, he's at 1.21 points per game, 0.21 power play points, 3.2 shots, and a hit. On the season, he's at 0.61 points per game. Last season, he was at 0.65 points per game. In his last 7 games, he has a 25% shooting percentage, which is insanely unsustainable. His
Sustainable.
career average is 16.6%. His best year, this is when he was actually good on Tampa, his best year was 20% in 2013. That is, I mean, people aren't going to like to hear this, but that was over a decade ago.
Mind blown.
Yeah, I know. It's never fun to realize how old we all are. But yeah, no. So over a decade ago, he had his best season and wasn't even within 5% of the shooting percentage he's had with this recent hot streak. This recent Nashville surge is not sustainable. They didn't make any changes to their team that warrants the sudden success. The only change they made was knock out Marchessault from the lineup. So I don't think losing him is that helpful for them. 5 out of 11 of his points in the last 7 games came against St. Louis, who suck. Okay, if anyone on my team plays St. Louis 2 times in a week, I'm selling high on them because that is
Yes.
going to be a lot of inflated numbers. You probably grabbed him off waivers, sell him for value before him and the team come crashing back down to earth. He still has a lot of name value because of his career, so you may be able to get some real steals with him. So like the name value, the way I see it is like normally a guy you pick up off waivers, like even if they're performing like crazy and even if it's gonna sustain, they have kind of like that waiver sting to them, right? But a guy like Steven Stamkos still has that value. It reminds me of like, let's say, probably not at this point, but maybe like a year or 2 ago, if you picked up Jonathan Huberdeau and he randomly decided to go on like a big run, he would have still had that name value of being a guy like, oh, maybe he figured it out, maybe he got back to where he's been before, where he could have made something happen. So that's where I've used Stamkos at this point, right? He's only 2 years removed from not being awful, and like he still got that name value. So let's see what Kevin thinks of my targets. I don't know if I shot too high with these, but let's see what you think. So I put a decent amount. I put Adrian Kempe, Alex Ovechkin, Clayton Keller, Sebastian Aho, Jesper Bratt, and John Tavares.
So listen, if you've been listening to this podcast before this episode, you know that Josh and I are like 2 of the biggest Nashville haters or just Stamkos haters in general. So not surprising that he ends up on this sell high list while they're on a hot streak. But we've got a lot of questions from Steven Stamkos in the Discord as well. Like, people are just always curious. Like, he's one of those names, like you said, he still has name value because he has a few good games. Like, is Stamkos back? Is Stamkos back?
Yeah,
Is Stamkos back?
exactly.
He's not back, guys. He's not back. I can guarantee my whole career on it. I'll bet my house. It's on Zillow right now. But no,
I could actually bet my house.
yeah, you could actually bet your house right now. So maybe we should change the joke from my house to your house since you actually own a house now.
It's a lot scarier when you actually own a house to bet it.
I've been betting my invisible house. But
Yeah.
no, this is a tremendous sell high. The only thing is, I do think you aimed a little high with the names. I feel
With
like
all of them, or what do you think?
I think Tavares and Brat, they've been so bad that they might be acquirable. But I don't think you're getting a deal done for Stamkos in a 1-for-1, like in any type of trade. I just think he's the
Yeah.
type of guy that was like on waivers in so many leagues that like there's just no way where you're pulling off like pick this guy up, he gets hot, you trade him 1-for-1, and he just has the waiver. The waivers is tied too strongly to him.
Yeah.
But if you could get these done in a package where it's like a 2-for-2, and Stamkos is one of the part that's doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you, and you're able to acquire like a Brad, Tavares, Aho, I think that's great. I think the other guys are a little harder. I think Kempe is just like he's been too strong the whole season that, a little blip in the course of things like this doesn't do enough for you to be able to make a swap like that. Ovechkin and Keller, I feel like the same. But I have some other targets that I feel like are less high than these guys that I still think are more attainable and feasible. Like if you could get Matthew Nyes, I think Matthew
Yeah,
Nyes
that would
right
be a good
now,
one.
he's
Yeah.
a buy low in himself. He's averaging 0.5 points per game, and he's not even on power play 1 right now. But if you can do Stamkos for Nyes, I think you're laughing. Another name that I had that I think is the perfect name, and I'm going to touch on him later with my target, spoiler alert. But if you could get Kirill Marchenko, I think
Yeah.
that's an exceptional one right now too. Like Columbus right now, the vibes are bad in terms of like holding Columbus assets. Marchenko is not playing close to his potential. We highlighted him as a buy low in recent episodes. I think if you can flip Stamkos for Marchenko too, I think that's an exceptional trade. So overall, like, love the targets if you're able to pull them off. In a lot of leagues, not, like these won't be as feasible for everybody, but if it's feasible for you, make it happen.
Yeah.
Also, I love targeting IR stashes too. Like if you can get like a JT Miller for Steven Stamkos,
Yeah.
I think that's a great opportunity for you.
Yeah. I love that. All
Elias
right,
Pettersson too,
Kevin.
maybe.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
All
What do
right.
you got for us?
Finally, time for me to talk about a player. I feel like it's been like 3 in a row that you've gone over. But this is mixed feelings talking about this guy because I'm going to highlight Habs legend, Juraj Slavkovsky. Slav is just so fun to watch when he's clicking on all cylinders. And as Habs fans, we want him to succeed. And like he was first overall pick. For the Habs to be a contender, I think Slav has to be a star and like pull his weight in terms of like the draft pedigree. But that does not stop me from highlighting Slav from being a sell high when I think he's overperforming. And right now, I think he's overperforming. Last season, he averaged 0.13 power play points on the season. This season, he's at 0.35, which is already just like, you basically tripled his numbers from last season. Over the last 2 weeks, he's almost at 0.6 points per game. Power play points per game, sorry, which is just insane. The other news is his category coverage is not good. I feel like we highlighted Slav in the offseason as he's this power forward that's looking to take a jump. We saw after the Four Nations last year, he was like a mini Brady Kachuk, it felt like. He was hitting everything in sight. He was shooting. But over the last little stretch, he's at almost a point per game, guys. Juraj Slavkovsky's at a point per game pace, but he's shooting 1.5, hitting 1.5. And this is a guy that's supposed to be like a double-double minimum. So the category coverage is not there. The points are there, which kind of feels counterintuitive. You would feel like it'd be the other way around, where like he's doing all the bangs but not getting the points. So this is why I'm trying to capitalize on the points that he's producing right now and trade him for another guy that I know is going to be more consistent longer term, and I think going to bring more overall value for your fantasy team. And it's not to say that he's going to be a bad asset in the future. Like a month ago, you would have been a buy low, but right now we swung too high the other direction, and I think right now you can capitalize on that extra points production and get a guy that's going to be better. And I think he does have a lot of name value too. Like people love Slavkovsky. Like the name is there. Maybe we just play around too many Habs fans that they still put a lot of stock into him. But first overall pick, and the Habs are clicking right now. Like the power play itself is clicking, and that's always enticing when you're trying to acquire a player. Like, oh many, look how many power play points they're putting up. So if you can flip Slav for, I'm going cross position first, but Josh Morrissey, I feel like 1-for-1 that could get done. And 1-for-1s are not always fun to do when there's the same position, but I think cross position it's more feasible, even if it's not my preference. it's like, oh, you need a defenseman or you need a forward, I need a defenseman. How about we just help each other out type of thing?
Yeah.
But I think Morrissey's tiers above Slav. I think in a package you could get Nylander. Josh mentioned like the 4 point night the other day. The other day is makes it difficult to acquire him on the low, but I think if you look at the averages, it's still way off. Clayton Keller we've highlighted in the past. Jesper Bratt we just highlighted. Tavares we just highlighted, and Marchenko. I think all these guys in a package, or I think Tavares, Bratt, Marchenko 1-for-1. It's not impossible. So these are guys that I'm trying to target with the Slav points production that I'm trying to capitalize on.
Yeah, I fully agree with everything you said here. In terms of the targets, Marchenko definitely could do 1-for-1, and I love that. Tavares, I think he can do 1-for-1. Brad's a bit of a stretch, but people are really down on
People
him,
are
so
people
maybe.
hate him.
Yeah, people hate him. It's true. Morrissey, Nylander, Keller, I just don't see happening 1-for-1, even with how bad Morrissey's been. Nylander, no way.
Yeah,
Keller,
not one for
I
one
think,
for sure, but
but yeah, in a package, I like it. It's kind of similar notes to my
yep.
targets with Stamkos, right? It's like these are all great targets. He can get your foot in the door for sure,
Mm-hmm.
and you should definitely try it. But in terms of 1-for-1, I think the Brat, Tavares, Marchenko, I think that's a slam dunk.
He's such a
That
buy
one,
low,
and
guys.
I think that gets done instantly. I think you send that offer, and it gets
Yeah,
accepted in almost every league. So I love it. I think it's a great one.
yeah. I wish I had Slav so I can capitalize on this sell high because I
Yeah,
really want some of these
and
guys.
the guy who does isn't going to.
Yeah, I know.
It's Jakey, in case anyone was wondering.
Yeah, Jakey has Slav. If you would have put
All
Slav
right.
in the instead of Holloway, would you have done the trade?
Well, yeah, Slav's better than
Yeah.
Holloway.
Okay. I was just curious if you wanted the specific IR stash and then the bangs, but
No, I'll take. Like I
anything
said,
you
I
can get
already
for a
think
package is
Celebrini.
Netherland.
I think Celebrini is better than Matthews at this point. I
Yeah.
could be, like I said, I could be too much of a buying high and selling low, but like at the very least they're close. So yeah, anything else was a bonus.
And on that note, we'll talk about the bonus sell high because we got 3 names for you guys, and this is the third one. And listen, we try to cover all the bases. We try to highlight, centers, left wing, right wings, defensemen, goalies, and we're trying to give new names every week. So try not to double dip too much. And we don't want to force anybody either. Like we're not gonna say goalie just for the sake of saying a goalie, or say defenseman just for the sake of saying a defenseman. So we actually want to pick guys that I think are attainable. But this guy, I'm happy to talk about this guy because we're going goalies right now, and we're gonna talk about the Juice,
The
Juuse
Juice.
Saros of the Nashville Predators. Now listen, goalies tend to be strongly correlated to the success of their team. And I think it's fair to assume that Nashville is a bad team and won't be making the playoffs this year. However, as you've noticed on the other buy low sell high episodes and also other waiver episodes, we've kind of been talking about Nashville assets in terms of like streaming them or capitalizing on the sell high, like Josh just mentioned on Stamkos. We recommend Ryan O'Reilly. I feel like as a streaming option for like the last 2-3 weeks. It's felt like, but we're highlighting them because they're in a run of form right now, and Saros has won 8 of his last 10 games.
It's
His
crazy.
percentages have been really good as well. Like if you're looking at his numbers over the last month, he's at 0.914, so 915 basically over the last month. And his quantity of saves as well has been nuts. Like if you're in a league that rewards, volume, or you have a category for saves, he's averaging 27 saves a game. That's just ridiculous numbers, first of all. But I don't think Nashville can continue winning this many games. And I think most of their roster is also trade bait. Like Ryan O'Reilly's a trade bait for every team that needs a center. Stamkos too, Marchessault too. Like it just feels like all their guys are just like playing so they can get traded. And I think Saros, like if you look back to earlier this season, he was dropped in many leagues. Like do not forget, yes, he has a name value. Yes, it's still Juuse Saros, but he's playing on a bad team. He's not always producing. A guy that was on waivers in your own league maybe a month or so ago, and now you're able to capitalize on him and trade him for value, I think it's a no-brainer. You have to capitalize on it. Do not fall victim to, he's been good in the past, he's good right now, he's back, baby. Like when windows like this happen for teams that you know are bad, you got to capitalize on them. So if you're still holding the Saros bag, I think you have a chance to sell and get out. And here are some names that I'd like to target. If you can get Jacob Markstrom right now, might feel super scary because Markstrom has been really bad. New Jersey hasn't bounced back fully yet, but I think they're on the cusp of it. And if you can trade for the starting goalie for New Jersey, I think you're very happy. If you can somehow manage a trade for Sergei Bobrovsky, where I think it might need to be a package, but if you can target Bobrovsky in a trade, I think that's a no-brainer for you and you'll be happy with that. Dostal is my favorite goalie target right now. He's been lit up in recent games so that the window is wide open right now. Saros has been good for a month. You look at open the game log, it's all nice and pretty. You can make that swap 1-for-1, I'm convinced. And Karel Vamelka as well. He was supposed to start the last game as we record this, but pulled in warm-ups. I think he tweaked something and wasn't able to play. So he's already got the injury factor as well. But I think Utah is a team that's going to be solid the rest of the season. Even though they don't have the best playoff schedule in the championship, Vamelka is probably starting both of those games. So a goalie that's getting 2 starts is not the end of the world. I would do that swap.
Yeah, I mean, most goalies, even if their team plays 3 times, they'll
Yep.
only get 2 of those starts. So I don't care about the schedule for goalies unless it happened to be one back to
Yeah.
back. Then you only get 1. Yeah, I fully agree. Don't like Nashville. Saros is, like you said, he was a drop earlier this year. Everyone wanted him off their team. So if you held this long, be happy that he's turning it around, but get him off your team while you can. So fully agree with everything in terms of the target. Bobrovsky is obviously, I think, the best one you can get. I don't know if you can pull that off, but if you can, then that's great. Second choice would be Dostal, and I think that you can easily get. Third choice would be Vamelka. I think that you can easily get. Markstrom's the big one for me, and that's just a matter of preference. For me, if I knew Markstrom was the starter on New Jersey, getting the majority of the starts for the rest of the season, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. Like I believe in New Jersey being better, but he's splitting starts with Jake Allen, and like Allen's been better than Markstrom a lot of this year, so I don't know if I want to target Markstrom. It's really scary. I just think that if you do that, at least make sure you get Markstrom plus, because you're talking about Saros being a drop in most leagues. Markstrom's been a drop in probably even more leagues than Saros. So that's the only one I'm not sure if I would do. The others, I like all of them, but with Markstrom, I think you got to get an upgrade elsewhere to make it worth it.
You have to have conviction in this one as well, because I think if he wasn't splitting starts with Jake Allen, there's no way this is even feasible, right? So right now it's feasible because, he hasn't been playing the best. Even though I think his recent starts have been the best quality he's had all season. It's just he's not, starting all the games. So this is kind of like a call your shot moment. I'd rather take the chance on New Jersey, who I think is going to be a playoff team and a strong one at that. And I think Nashville is going to have a rough stretches ahead. So, but like you said, you got to get fair value for what the value is right now, and you can definitely get Markstrom plus.
Yeah, I will say if you want a bit more sample size, you could wait for this coming week. They have 2 back-to-backs, right? See how Markstrom does and the team does, because even if he does well, you can tell the other person, look, he's splitting starts. If they're not dialed in and they don't realize that he split starts because it's 2 back-to-backs, then you can still use that to your advantage, and then you get a bit more sample size to see, like, do I feel comfortable going after Markstrom? But obviously, the other person could be dialed in and be like, yeah, but that's just because it was back-to-backs, and then you're like, all right, well,
he's still splitting starts even before that.
Yeah, that's true. So I think that's definitely a very interesting one. Look, if you tell me rest of the season, would I rather have the starter on Nashville or New Jersey? It's New Jersey, no question. So I just think you could get more value than just Markstrom. So you should.
Some other names I wanted to highlight that I didn't get a chance to mention, but like I think Swayman. I think right now I'd rather have Swayman rest of the season, even though I'm not really convinced on Boston, long term in terms of being like a strong team. But I think he's been really bad right now that you can maybe make that swap. How do you feel about the Cord? You think you can do that?
I think it could get done. He's been pretty hot lately.
Yeah, 2 good games.
Pretty awful before that. I know he's had like 3 or 4 at this point, but like he was really bad before that. And I think it could get done, and I much prefer Cord to Saros.
Okay, what about Joseph Wall?
I think it could get done, and I'd rather Wall. So yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to find names that I think are somewhat feasible. Would you drop everything for Saros and try to get Connor Ingram?
That's a good question. Let's say Saros is your worst goalie on your team. I mean, you just can't drop a guy who's performing like this.
No.
It's you have to get value for him. So no, I would not drop Saros for the chance at Connor Ingram.
The last name, Spencer Knight.
That's a good one. I would take Knight over Saros. I think you can get Knight plus at this point, which you should. Look, Knight was a super sell high at the start of the season, but fact is right now he's playing without Connor Bedard, who's literally the entire heart and soul of that team.
Yeah, the team looks way different
but
without
like mainly Bedard. So there's brighter days ahead for Spencer Knight, and I think at the end of the day, a healthy Chicago versus Nashville, who probably trades away a bunch of assets going into the end of the year, I'd rather have Spencer Knight.
Fair enough. All right, that wraps up our Week 13 Buy Low, Sell High Trade Target episode. If you guys made it this far, we really appreciate it. Do not forget, drop us a follow wherever you're listening to this. Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Follow, subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. I'm going to put a poll in the Spotify episode of this, and I want you guys to vote on who you think won that trade between Josh and Jake. And if you're listening to this on YouTube,
Oh
let us
my
know in the
God.
comments. Would you rather Macklin Celebrini plus Dylan Holloway or Austin Matthews plus Fabian Zetterlund? Let us know who you think won this trade between the two Banger Management hosts. I think that's going to be really fun, and
Oh
I'm
my
excited to see
God.
what the viewers think, because I think that's a big one when you think about it. Like, I thought it was a slam dunk for Josh, to be honest, but it's still Austin Matthews at the end of the day, so you never
That's
know what
it.
can
Yeah.
happen. But
Normally I'm the
that's
other side of the trade. Normally
yeah.
I'm the JQ guy in the trade, selling my super hot like guy for what, a top 5 pick who's
hmm
underperforming. So I definitely don't feel as comfortable as I usually do. But in the nice thing about doing a sell low and buy high is in the immediate future it feels great, you
Yeah, you're on the other foot
know?
for once.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but yeah, and if you're not in the Discord, guys, that's the place to be. Click the link in the bio or the description or where you're listening to this. If you don't know what Discord is, it's just like a community platform where we are and we talk about all this stuff. So make a profile, join the banker management community, and I think you'll be really happy. It's a lot of fun. And listen, on that note, a reference that maybe some people don't even understand. But take it away, Erne.
Babada bow bow banger management fantasy hockey podcast. Woo!
Woo!
I think
Woo!
we need to just like post a TikTok of like of that scene from the movie so
From the
that people
movie.
know what we're talking about when we say that every
This is the
time.
post-credit scene rolling right now. Do you guys know Take It Away, Ernie? Have you guys seen Harry Potter? I mean, all right.
It's it like I feel like it's like a kind of obscure line, but for some reason, like if you're in, I feel like it just
If you've seen the
resonates. It's
movies,
just
you
such a
know.
random. That's it. If you've seen the movies, you know. That's it. Even the books, you won't know because it's only in the movie. But it's yeah,
Gotta do
Harry
it.
Potter 3. Like
Go
yeah, let
watch
us
it.
know if yeah, exactly.
Christmas movie.
Yeah, exactly.